Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Fat Dubs Bracketology. We are
Mm-mm.
here.
Our bracketology. It's always fight night. It's fight night.
It is Friday night, so it's fight night.
It's fight night.
So,
To quote the Brawling Brutes, we're drinking pints and starting fights. Banger after banger after banger after banger. You can tell we're big fans.
right, no kidding, right? So, in honor of pretty much baseball season starting, as spring training had just started, I thought it'd be a good idea. Since I found out we can actually make our own brackets, as you can see here, I went through and I picked the top 16 Mariners pitchers of all time. So I just randomly went through. I got starting pitchers, I got relievers, and I got closers. So I just randomly picked some, mostly the big name ones that really stood out. As you can see, I'll let you go as we go through this. You'll probably recognize some. You might not recognize some, but most of them are from pretty much the '90s, early '90s, mid '90s to almost now.
Relevancy
So
of Seattle Mariners baseball, as you can tell from all this whole list, all these players had an impact on the history of these last almost 30 years, and the only times the Mariners ever made the playoffs.
pretty much, you're looking at the '95 season. You're looking at the 2001 season. Pitchers here, and then some in betweens that during those times we weren't as good, but still we had some pitchers that were at least somewhat dominant.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited for this, and I can't wait to get started. So Ryan has already told me he already knows who's going to win this. I already know who's going to win it when I made it because of him. But I kind of want to see, how we get through, who gets through. So I want to see who's going to take on who you guys think. Also, please let us know too if you're Mariner fans as well. Let us know who you think is going to be your number one as we go along with this as well. Play along with us as usual.
Also, we're going to have a little game. So, as you can see, Kelly and I are both wearing jerseys. These are our favorite Mariners players of all time. I challenge you guys, and we'll say it at the end of the video, but before the end of the video, take a wild guess. Which jersey is Kelly wearing? Which jersey am I wearing? Give you an idea. This is one of the old school Mariner jerseys. This is the kind of the teal, alternative jersey. So we'll reveal who we're wearing at the end of the video. So
yeah, sounds good.
To start it off, we have a doozy, two pictures of the 90s era, and one of them kind of came back in the 2001. We have the big unit, Randy Johnson versus the Sheriff, Norm Charlton.
We have the big unit versus the sheriff.
A little back history, Randy Johnson, starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, kind of one of the most dangerous left-handed pitchers of all time, one of the fastest fastballs, very lethal and everything like that. Multiple times Cy Young winner of not only the Mariners, but of also Arizona Diamondbacks, where he also won the World Series. Norm Charlton, if I'm not mistaken, was also he was mostly a reliever, but I think he started. Games.
He actually started as a starting pitcher, but then he got moved to the bullpen later on.
Yeah, more times, like for Kelly and I, we've known him more as a relief pitcher. He came back in 2001, helped the 2001 Mariners reach that 116 games. So we have Randy Johnson versus Norm Charlton. I will not hesitate to say Randy Johnson.
Yeah, I mean Randy's going to be the number one out of this, no matter these two, no matter what. Just remember, guys, this is randomized. I actually just plugged these guys in, and it automatically put because of anybody. I would have if I would have put the number 2 person against Randy would win anyway.
And I know a lot of people want to say about the seeding wise that why wasn't Felix number 1? Again, when Kelly did this was just randomized. So
yep.
Randy Johnson's moving on. I don't think there's really hesitation or argument about that. If you've ever watched him in his prime in either the Mariners or even the Diamondbacks, you understand why Randy Johnson is going to kick some ass. Next matchup, we have Paul Abbott versus Gil Mesh. Paul Abbott, a starting pitcher. of the 2001 Mariners season. And Gil Mesh, also starter pitcher, also a relief pitcher towards the end of his Mariner career. But he was after the 2001 season, kind of the mid 2000s.
Right.
I'm gonna go Paul Abbott because I remember watching a lot of Gil Mesh games where he blew it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember Gil a little bit. I don't remember too, but of course I remember Paul Abbott and how good he was.
Yeah, he fit that nice rotation of that Mariners 2001.
He was, I believe, if I remember, he was more of a crafty righty. Definitely wasn't that hard of a thrower, but he was more of a crafty kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, both agree?
Paul Abbott.
Okay. Sounds good.
I have a very funny story about Gil Mesh. So there was one game my family went to, and Gil Mesh was the starting pitcher, and I think he ended up losing that game too. But this lady behind us was for literally, if you know baseball games, they're about 3 hours long. But the whole time he's in pitching, all you heard is "Go Gil, go Gil." It's like, oh my fucking god, go Kansas City Royals. I think they're playing Kansas City Royals. I'm like, go Kansas City, just hit home runs. All right, get the fuck out of here. Okay. Next matchup, we have kind of the pride of the 2001 season. We have the ace pitcher, Freddie Garcia, who was actually received in a trade for Randy Johnson and a couple of the players, I believe. I think Mike Cameron was also part of that too. But we got Freddie Garcia, who was our, like I said, in line to win. I don't know. He didn't win the Cy Young Award?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He got close, but
he was a Cy Young Award candidate, All-Star, versus Kazuhiro Sasaki, who in his prime from the 2000 to 2001 was one of the best closers, another All-Star, I think two-time All-Star, had a lot of the records for saves in the Mariners history, just was kicking ass. Both guys kind of one-trick ponies, though. They kind of relied on mostly one pitch. They had another pitch that was kind of their secondary, but it wasn't as good as their first.
Right.
I'm going to give love to Kaz. Because when Kaz entered the game, it was really fun to watch him pitch. He got a lot of guys fooled.
That sinker that he had.
There's
a reason that they nicknamed it the Fang.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, that ball, it died.
Yeah.
I mean, that ball had such a drop on him when it got to the batter. It was nuts.
Freddie was more of, like, I want to beat you with my fastball kind of person. So he was your standard pitcher and everything like that. I'm going to go Kaz because Kaz was was damn near nasty. Yeah,
same here. Also, I actually didn't care for Freddie that much.
I think there's some...
They tried to hype him up too much as being like, because he was taking pretty much Randy's spot, trying to be that next guy. And I just felt like he just got way too overhyped. Yes, he did good for us, but it was only for like a couple of year span. Then he started to go downhill a little bit, and then he was just very inconsistent. And then I feel like Kazuhiro deserves more because I feel Kaz was more consistent, even though he probably played less games, depending on outcomes. But
Kaz was also he was our first real closer that the Mariners really capitalized on. The Mariners have a bad history of going through closers left and right. And, Kaz was one of those guys that, like, when he came in, it was almost clutch. Like, he was up there with Mariano Rivera for most clutch.
It was guaranteed. It was literally guaranteed that.
And I agree with you. There's actually someone on this list that we'll get to in a little while who was also on that 2001 pitching rotation that I think was better than Freddie, and we'll get to him in a second.
All right.
Next matchup, we have J.J. Putz. Kind of the next big closer after Kazuhiro Sasaki versus James Paxton. Paxton was a former starter of most recent years in the 2010s. He has one perfect game that, convenient enough, he's Canadian and he threw it in Toronto against the Blue Jays.
Yep.
I gotta go with the closer. I gotta go Putz.
I'm sorry, my answer is Putz because I fucking love this guy.
He was a bomb.
Not only did he have one of the fucking great AC/DC songs as his intro to come in, the guy was intimidating. He threw hard.
What song was it again?
Thunderstruck.
Was it Thunder? Oh my god, that's funny.
It was Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
That's funny.
because who was it? Was it Granky or somebody? Somebody had Hell's Bells.
Okay.
But yeah, he had Thunderstruck. That was his song, and it was always funny because we'd watch. My dad even really loved him too. I have a bobblehead of him. Actually, maybe I don't anymore because of the fire, but I had a bobblehead of him, and I enjoyed this guy very much. It was always funny too. When he'd get called in, his music was playing, and I don't know if you ever noticed, he'd actually grab a water bottle, take a swig as he's going down the ramp, and throw it against the wall every time. Every time before he came out, and then he always had when he'd get ready to pitch after his warm ups for each pitch. He always had that look down and like that big sign, and just kind of that whole intimidating look, like "Let's go, buddy." Like let's do it. Kind of like
I mean,
I'm sorry, I loved Put so much back then. We always call him Put. We always go Put.
Yeah, Puts is a guarantee. Like both guys were kind of in the era of when Mariners baseball was at kind of their lower ends. But Puts was more consistently like when called in for closing, he was much better than Paxton was started pitching. Also, if we're gonna talk, anyone has the most intimidating face on this roster on this list, it's Randy. Dude, 6'10", looks at you and you're like, "Well, I'm dead."
I mean, come on,
the guy killed a bird.
I was gonna say, yeah,
he killed a goddamn bird. Okay, with a pitch, a fastball.
I mean, the chances of that happening are
only to Randy Johnson.
Up next, we have, I always forget how to say his name, but
Sashi Iwakuma.
Iwakuma. I was going to say Iwakuma. Iwakuma.
Yep. Sashi Iwakuma versus Edwin O. Diaz. I'm going to go Iwakuma because Diaz was very short-lived with the Mariners.
Yeah, he was short-lived. Also, Iwakuma has I believe he has the combined perfect game.
He either has
a complete combined perfect game, was it?
No, I think he actually has his own perfect game. He doesn't have a perfect game. He has a no-hitter.
What? It's one of the two. God, I hate this for not remembering this because, I
think there's only been one perfect game in Mariners history. I think the other ones have been just. I think Iwakuma is a no-hitter.
So Felix is the only one that I think that does. And
Felix is the only one that has the perfect.
I know Randy's come close.
Randy has the very.
Randy has one.
Fun fact: Randy Johnson has the first ever Mariners no-hitter in the history of the organization. Felix Hernandez has the very first perfect game in Mariners history.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Iwakuma because he again was just more consistent, and kind of really helped turn around the Mariners because he was in here. He was with the pitching rotation as they're kind of transitioning into what we have today. Though he's not I don't think he's with the team anymore.
No, he hasn't been with the team for quite a while.
Yeah, but he
got injured and they tried to come back and it was just he just couldn't do it.
He was just more consistent. I don't think we need to go more into that. Next matchup we have Jared Washburn. That's a name drop.
Yeah, right.
Couple years with the Mariners in the 2010s and everything like that. Versus Jamie Moyer, who this was the gentleman I was saying that in the 2001 rotation was the best pitcher. Another one of the best left-handers the Mariners had in history. Jamie Moyer was more of his off-speed pitches than he was a fastball pitcher. He's also one of the longest. He was also one of the oldest pitchers to ever pitch in a game.
Yep.
I think he went to like 50 years old or some shit like that.
He was like 40. Maybe he reached 50. Last I saw at least 46, 47.
Either he pitched into 50 years old or he pitched just before that. But this dude like held his craft and everything like that. I have no question. It's Jamie.
Yeah, Jared Washburn was supposed to be pretty much the next Jamie Moyer, crafty lefty that came along. But I'm sorry, Jamie Moyer, like you said, in that early 2000 era with that crafty lefty, I mean, him and Randy almost kind of complemented each other with bringing, having one pitcher being the hard thrower, the other one being the more slow, craftier guy. And I'm sorry, that changeup, ooh.
Well, he had also one of the sickest curves. Like, you saw that shit actually curve. Like, It was nasty.
I mean, I'm sorry, that thing looped. That
Jamie
thing
Moore,
loops.
also World Series champion with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yep.
No question, he is a Hall of Famer as well.
Yes.
Next up, we have Joel Pinheiro versus Ryan Franklin, both members of the 2001 Mariners. Both were actually starters. Then Franklin moved to kind of the bullpen. I think Joel had a couple stints in the bullpen as well. I was always a fan of Joel Pinheiro. I thought he was very underrated. He was young and he had a lot of potential. He just, there was a few games that got by him and everything like that. But I think my pick is Joel because he was, again, just that kid that you always rooted for because he was good.
Yeah, he was definitely the one. I mean, I even remember that punch, with him and Abbott and Freddie, back then. And I was always excited for him to be like the next pitcher. I don't know why, but
can you name the fifth person in that rotation by chance? So it was Freddie Garcia, Jamie Moyer, Joel Pinheiro, Paul Abbott, and Ryan Franklin was technically in that rotation, but there was one other guy that was actually the main. Remember that name?
Wasn't Shigetoshi Asagawa because he?
No, love Shigetoshi.
Arthur Rhodes was a closer.
Yep. Shiggy was also not on the 2000.
I thought he was on.
He came in the year after. He was on the Angels that year.
Give me a hint.
His first name starts with a G.
No, it's not Jeff Nelson because he's already on there.
Yep.
Jeff?
Nope. Think of another traditional. Starts with a J. Think of our favorite wrestler.
John. Wait, no.
Nope. Think of Llama, but
Oh god, this is gonna bug me.
ready?
This is gonna bug me. Now you said llama. Oh my god.
Ready?
Yeah.
John Halama.
Halama. God damn it. That was
yep. John Halama.
Oh. That bugs me.
Yep. I think we're both going with Joel Pinheiro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And final matchup of the first round, we have Jeff Nelson in the 15th seed, big time reliever and closer for the Mariners in the 2001 era, versus Felix Hernandez, the second Mariner to win the Cy Young Award. And the only Mariner to pitch a perfect game. This guy was with us from the 2000s era to the 2010s. I think he has almost all the records for pitching.
When I was actually looking him up, yeah, he had quite a few of them. Felix, unfortunately, was one of those pitchers. He was dominant. Unfortunately, when we would bring him out, turn over to the bullpen, unfortunately, the bullpen would pretty much not sustain the lead for him or give up the lead for him. So he actually lost a lot of wins. He should have had at least so many more wins than he should have had.
Well, the other part is with Felix was that there was never offense for him.
And that was going to be my other thing.
He'd pitch a lights out game.
And that was going to be my other thing. He was even in games where he's literally going into the 8th inning, pitching a solid game, but nothing of our offense could get anything rolling. It was just frustrating to watch. You were always looking to see when Felix was pitching because you know how great he was, but it's God, you're just hoping that the offense would come alive for him because this guy deserved it so many times over.
Yep. So I think we both agree. Jeff Nelson was a very good pitcher,
sidearm pitcher,
and everything like that. But Felix was our ace of the last 2 decades.
Yeah, and especially when we went through a time where after we lost Freddie and we were trying to get some guys, we went through so many different guys that were supposed to be the guy. But I feel Felix, he finally came around to be that guy. I mean, he was 19, I think, when he started. Well, if I remember correctly.
The downside for Felix was he relied on his fastball. Yeah. But this dude had a slider like none other.
Yes.
Competitive to Randy's slider. It was damn near fucking, lethal.
I'm sorry. When the guy gets literally nicknamed the king and then he gets a whole cheering section, for himself, that's it.
I have a thing about self-proclaimed kings.
Yeah.
Before you actually even Felix kind of was given the name King Felix before he actually played it, through a pitch. And granted, he's one of the best Mariners pitchers.
So, actually, hold on real quick before we go on with that. I want to clarify something right now. This is how I think of the name King when somebody gets it. I think there's title, and then I also think there's nickname. That's how I look at it. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. I think it more of the King Felix as just a nickname more than a.
The problem is because though it's a nickname, we'll think of the title more.
Exactly.
That's my issue is that you can have the nickname, but it's the title.
Just like I will bring up, Ryan's favorite basketball player.
I'm going to slap the hell out of you say that name. Say that name is my favorite basketball. I swear to God, it'll be fight night for real if you say it. It'll be fight night for real if you say this name.
Oh.
And I know who you're talking about. You're talking about La Bitch, okay? La Flopper, okay? All right. Yeah, that's kind of one of my issues that before LeBron James had stepped in the NBA, he was given the nickname King James. And that's what his title was. He was the king. He was the future.
But they're also basing off of actually real kings. That's why they're giving them those names too.
But, my thing is don't give someone that name until they've actually earned it. Now, granted, LeBron has changed basketball and has been the focal point of these last 2 decades. There's no question about it. But to come in saying that you're already the king.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be way later in your career, or at least toward the.
If he was to get it now and say he is he is King James.
Yeah.
As of right now, I have no problem with that because of his accolade.
Yes, but when you give it to 2 to 3 years in already, it's
he was giving it to it in high school. He didn't even graduate high school yet.
I mean, come on, that's already giving the guy a fucking ego the size of fucking Mars.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, moving on. We're gonna start our matchups of the second round. We have Randy Johnson versus Paul Abbott. No questions needed. It will be Randall Johnson.
Yeah, I'm just going to type it in because I already know.
Yeah. Next matchup, we have the battle of two of the Mariners' best closers in the history, Kazuhiro Sasaki versus J.J. Putz. Mine's Sasaki.
I'm going to have to because he set the bar for Seattle Mariners closers.
Mm-hmm. He really did. So
Putz definitely came in and was the next guy to come along and, dominate for us. That next guy. Sasaki
opened the door for Putz. Sasaki really opened the door for guys like Putz, for Wilhelmsen, for
Fernando Rodney,
for
Eddie Garnado.
Yeah, Edwin O'Diaz. Sasaki was the guy. Next matchup, we have Jamie Moyer versus Iwakuma. Move along, Jamie Moyer.
Exactly. Like I said, I'm sorry. You even look at that matchup. Jamie Moyer, way more accurate, way more stuff than Iwakuma. Fortunately, Iwakuma, like I said, had a short stint, major league stint due to injury. But Moyer, I'm sorry, the guy, like I said, almost played till he's 50 years old.
Now, granted, I know that I have made stats on Johnson and Moyer for other teams that they have played on, but we're mostly basing it off of their Mariners legacy. Because that's the case, then we should.
This is just Mariners. This is
the case, then honestly, Randy and Moyer move in to the finals because they have the most accolades out of everyone. But we are basing everything off of their Mariners legacy.
Yes.
So the next matchup, we have Joel Pinheiro versus Felix Hernandez. No questions needed. Love you, Joel. It is Felix Hernandez.
Exactly. It's moving on. I'm actually liking this final round though.
Yep.
Even though, like I said, I know who's going to win it all, but still,
This is the best four pitchers.
This literally is your best four pitchers, I think, in Mariners history.
And the great thing is you have the pitcher of the 90s, you have the pitcher of the 2000s, you have the pitchers of the 2010s, You have the best closer of the Mariners' history. This is a great matchup. This is actually one that we don't even need to go to the wheel at all because I feel like this is very fair. So the first matchup in the semifinal round, we have a big unit versus Kazuhiro Sasaki. Sasaki, I love you to death, but fucking Randy is gonna win it. And I want to make this clear. I am a huge Randy Johnson fan, and I don't pick him based on the fact that he's just my favorite. I honestly pick him because watching him in person on TV, he's fucking lethal. Like, he was one of the best pitchers of all time. He is still considered one of the best pitchers of all time. And that's even, the only one that kind of beats him is Nolan Ryan, who is literally the best pitcher of all time. But the people talk about Verlander, Kershaw, guys of this era. I'm sorry, those cats don't touch Randy Johnson. They don't come close. They don't even look at his cleats. All right. Next matchup. This one may have to go to the wheel. It's Jamie Moyer versus Felix Hernandez. Based on Mariners accolades alone, I'm going Felix because as a Mariner, his resume is top notch.
That's kind of where I'm feeling because Felix came in as a Mariner where Moyer was actually, I believe, an Expo before he came in.
He was an Expo or Oriole, one of the two.
Expo or Oriole, one of the two. I mean, he played for 5 or 6 different teams in his career, but he played the majority in Seattle.
His start of his rise in his career was in Seattle.
Actually, I think he was drafted by the Cubs.
Could have been. I know that Moyer got his career. Felix had his whole career here in the Mariners outside of this last year going to Atlanta. Moyer, like you said, was somewhere else. Came to Seattle, had his rise to fame, which then led him to Philadelphia, and continue that rise. I love Jamie Moyer. You and I both love Jamie Moyer.
I would love to meet that man so much.
One of the kindest men in the world.
Humble man.
He's very humble. But Felix, between the two, you got to give it to him. He's got the most.
Now, before we move on, and I know some people are going to ask questions, why was so-and-so not put on here? Why was so-and-so? I actually could have added a lot more names onto this list. But I wanted to add names, like Ryan had said, from our 90s period to our early 2000s, even the 2010 era as well. Mostly because that's where we kind of grew up seeing. Because we didn't get to see guys like Langston. I can remember very little about like Bobby Wells, Bobby Ayala.
And for anyone that's going to bitch about why Marcos Gonzalez, Logan Gilbert, Kirby, Robbie Ray, all these cats why are they not on these lists? They are too damn fresh.
Nope.
The only person on this current Mariners rotation that I would put on this roster, Logan Gilbert. Because he has the most potential to be great. I don't think Robbie Ray really hit a downfall last year.
I'm hoping that for me, Kirby.
Kirby, I think, is the second best pitcher.
I hope we get to keep. I hope he stays for us a long time because I think he's going to be really great going forward. But we'll see. But I didn't want to take any of our players for today because, like Ryan said, they're still kind of young. They're still developing. We don't know if they're even going to be around. But because I want to go with guys that we know that have been around that we've seen over the years.
Well, if you look at this list, and there's a couple on here. Okay. There's questionable why they're on this list. Jared Washburn, not even close. I'd replace him with Arthur Rhodes or some shit like that. But looking at the roster, looking at this list, like there is accolades for each one of these guys, and they meant something for the Mariners in the years of the late 90s to the 2010s. It was more meaningful. It was more, these guys really set the tone. Like I said, Gilbert is one of those guys. Logan Gilbert and Kirby, two guys that will probably. We did this list, 5 years from now, if we ain't dead. If we're still doing this and whatnot, maybe I'll put those two on it. But I can't. I can't put guys like Marco Gonzalez.
No,
dude needs to go to the fucking bullpen or booted out.
No, even like I said, even like Jeff Weaver, Aaron Seeley,
Yeah, short-lived
guys
careers.
that were even like Eric Bedard, which God I hated that shit so much.
Oh God, who is There's one other closer we had.
There was one other closer. Like I said, I had Eddie Guardado that I thought about putting in there, but I was like, no, he was only for a couple years. We had Fernando Rodney for a couple of years. There was one guy that started with an A. Amersid, something like that. I can't remember him, but he was only for like a year. Um, Actually, if you actually go look at Mariners closers, there's only literally been like four big Mariners closers in their whole franchise. Everybody else has been like a short stint at being a closer, and for a while, and then moved on.
I mean, yeah,
Or
there. I
they
mean,
go.
for fuck's sake, we went 1 year where we had like 7 different closers.
I mean, I saw Paul Sweet in there who is on the Mariners right now, and he's
Yeah,
like in the top 10. And I'm like, what the hell? Why
right.
is this guy here? Even like Diego Casel. No, not the one kid. The other guy, the big boy, uh, who just joined us. He was supposed to be our closer at the beginning of the season. Well, he didn't even make it halfway through the season until we had to
Right.
make the change there. But anyway, guys, yeah, I could have added way more people to this, but I wanted to keep it small, and I just felt like these guys were the more deserving. Like I said, I could have switched them in and out here. But yeah. Anyway, I think we need to make the decision, Ryan. But I think we already know what the decision's gonna be.
There's one closer. I thought it was a closer. I gotta look this up later. There's a Mariners player that like got everyone hyped up every time he came out. I couldn't remember.
So
Fuck. Fuck, this is gonna drive me nuts. So we got the matchup that we kind of expected, right? I think there are 3 guys. Nothing love but Kazuhiro Sasaki, but he's always gonna finish 4th place in my. But I think we're at the right because we could either go Moyer or Felix and everything like that for the final matchup. But I really think that the best matchup was Felix Hernandez, and this is a great matchup because 90s, 2000s. You have the guy in the 90s, the guy in the 2000s. Very similar pitching styles. They love the fastball.
Yep.
They have one off-speed pitch that is deadlier than others. I think
I mean,
they're
also
both
you're
sliders.
looking at literally your two hardest throwing people. You're looking at your hardest left-handed thrower, your hardest right-handed thrower, both dominated, in their primes. Both. Randy held what? That strikeout record for how many years until Felix finally broke it? I mean,
So
it's just these guys were amazing to watch, especially Felix early on in his career. Great to watch as a young kid. Randy right out of the gate was amazing.
and the fact is too, like, yes, and there is one thing that plays in factor that kind of favors one person over the other. Not saying it's my pick, but Felix started out as a Mariner, and he also had the King's Court. Every time Felix came out, you had the left field corner foul line that they had a significant for everybody to wear yellow shirts. But I'm probably going to quote this wrong because I'm probably, but Randy crawled for Felix to walk. Randy set it up for Felix in the future. If Felix would have been the best pitcher of all time, had it not been for Randy Johnson, in my opinion. Because here's the deal, and here's the big deal on this whole thing too, everybody. Felix Hernandez, as great of a career as he had, Randy helped the Mariners get to the playoffs for the first time in history of the organization. He was the sole pitcher. I mean, there was obviously the whole team, and you have to credit, Griffey, Martinez, Tino Martinez, all those guys. But if you're talking about a pitching rotation of the '95, Soto Mojo refused to lose season.
2 outs, so what?
you have to look at the fact of name a pitcher outside of Randy Johnson on that fucking rotation. You can't, because it was when the game was on the line, when they needed, and the big question, they had to get into the playoffs, they had to beat the Anaheim Angels in a play-in game. They had a one-game play-in game. They were tied. And who did the Mariners go to for that game? None other than Randy Johnson. I was actually there at that game. Big old Randy Johnson. You had to. And though the hard part is like this is going to be my thing, and this might be a little bad, but sports nowadays is nothing like sports in the 90s. It was a lot harder. It was a lot tougher. So Randy dominated in a time when baseball was at its finest. From 95 to 2000s, Randy dominated. Felix was a great pitcher. Unfortunately, he just didn't have the supporting backfire.
So I would have to actually say this, and I think it comes to almost any team sport, that somebody sets the bar for that franchise. Randy set the bar for the pitching wise for the Seattle Mariners. So that way you have guys like Paul Abbott, Gil Mesh, Jared Washburn, Jeff Nelson, all these guys, Felix, to come in there and say, hey, I want to be better than that guy. Especially if you're a guy that's drafted by this team, that's something. I'm sorry, if I was to be drafted by a team that's not the Seattle Mariners, I would quickly go look at the history of that organization, at that position that I'm going to play. I'm like, all right, I got to find out who's the number one dog here. All right.
Except for one team. He gets drafted by the Yankees. He's retiring from baseball right then and there.
Honestly, probably not.
I mean, that's just a joke. Like, there's always those teams that you never play for.
As we've mentioned many times, I do not like the Yankees organization, but there are players I do like.
Oh, I hate them. So, New York teams in general. All of them. Every single motherfucking one of them.
So, but yes.
And Bryce Harper.
Anyway, I think, like I said, Randy set the standard for the organization. Felix, I think he's very close to Randy. Mm-hmm. Very, very close to Randy. But he's not above Randy.
So the thing is not only, I agree with you. Randy not only sets the standard for Mariners pitching, he sets the standard for Mariners baseball in general.
Yes.
There are top 5 players in Mariners history that you and I can both agree on. And it's these two. These two are on that list. Felix is unfortunately number 5 because the 4 other guys in front of him are fucking amazing. And that's, Randy, Ichiro, Griffey, and Edgar Martinez.
Agreed.
Felix, unfortunately, will be that number 5 because those other 4 set the standard for what Mariners baseball, for the legacy of Mariners baseball. Not, and when I mean legacy, I don't mean the 10 million years of losing seasons that they suffered. I'm talking about, you always talk about the history, the good of Mariners baseball. You have all those guys who have set the tone. And unfortunately for Felix, though, you set Mariners records, but you were not a big all-time record setter. You have Randy, who's one of the best pitchers, one of the top 2 strikeout leaders of the history of the Major League Baseball. You have Ichiro, who damn near is considered the best hitter in baseball outside of Pete Rose. Actually, if he would have played his whole career in Major League Baseball, he would have shattered that record.
Easily.
You have Ken Griffey Jr., who is one of the greatest home run hitters in the history of Major League Baseball. You have Edgar Martinez that literally created the designator hitter role. And Felix is well deserved to be the second greatest pitcher in Mariners history. But like we've talked about, you succeeded because Randy opened the door for you.
Yes.
if had not have been for Randy Felix, you would have been the greatest pitcher in Mariners history. But unfortunately, the winner is Randy Johnson. There's no question about it.
Like I said, with Felix, we love you. You would have got more support behind you.
You had a stronger case.
You had a really strong case. Like I said, you do have the Cy Young. He does have the Cy Young. Randy, I'm trying to remember. Did he get 2 or just 1? Or did he even get any?
Did he get any?
You're the Randy Johnson expert. I just want to confirm that.
I'm going to look it up real quick because I think it's just 1. He has multiple.
I'm actually not going to hold that against these two if they both, who had the better season.
I'm going to say this though about the Cy Young awards though, and let me look it up. Let me look up Randy's real quick.
Because like everybody, I'm almost in agreement with it because everybody says Felix only got it because they felt he was really deserving, even though he didn't get support because he didn't have more than 20 wins this season when he got it, but he dominated in all other categories as a pitcher in that season that he won it. Where I think Randy actually won it in a dominating season.
So, Randy has 1 Cy Young in Seattle, and then the other 4 were in Arizona.
That makes sense.
But like you said, and that was gonna be my point though, was nothing to get away from your Cy Young award, Felix. There was a lot of question mark about you winning that Cy Young award that year. I think the reason why you beat out, oh my God, who did you beat? He's picture. Big guy is the big guy.
Was it the?
Oh my God, he's a really big time pitcher.
It wasn't Roger Clemens.
No, fuck no. Not that Roy.
Pettit?
No.
Anyway, I just remember, he didn't have the wins, but he dominated in like the other categories compared to that other guy, and that's why they gave it to him because he was more in the top, had more of the top pitching categories than the other guy. It wasn't Andy Pettit.
No, it was way.
Way after. It wasn't that Japanese pitcher that wing.
No. It's on the tip of my fucking tongue. He's CC Sabathia. CC Sabathia. That's who it was. Fuck. Yeah, CC and Felix that year had they were split down on the stats. I think Felix had the better strikeout ratio, and
that's what I just remember.
I think he had like a point some odd difference ERA better than CC.
Yeah,
but CC had the wins and the strikeouts. But it could have gone either way, and I'm not saying that Felix doesn't deserve there was a few seasons where he actually deserved it and got shattered. But Randy, he won it in '95. He won it in the refuse to lose season.
Exactly. All right, everybody. So that's pretty much it for the show. What did you guys come up? What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with us? Do you agree? I mean, if you disagree with us, there's something probably wrong with you. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, but listen, if you said Felix or Moyer was the best pitcher, I got respect. You said a motherfucker
if you take any of these 4 right here, I'm almost
3 of the 4.
Okay,
3 of the 4.
If you take any of these, Randy, Moyer, or Felix, and they're your top 1, I'm fine with that.
If you said fucking, Washburn, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you.
No.
You said Paxton, I'm gonna put my foot in the ass.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You said Gilmesh.
Like I said, all guys that were supposed to be...
You're gonna go to Suplex City, bitch.
Yeah, all those, like I said, guys that were supposed to become, big things, but only were big for a while, but unfortunately they panned out, and they were gone. Anyway, you guys, let us know what you guys thought. Hope you enjoyed this. Looking forward to our baseball season this year. Can't wait to see what the Mariners do this year. And
as always, we like to do our own thing. Mariners going to the World Series. The biggest question mark for Seattle Mariners baseball this year: one-trick ponies, or is this start of something? We have our debates on the Mariners and everything like that. I think we both agree that we hope that the playoff run is continuing, everything like that. I do have one quarrel with the Mariners, though. Why the fuck did you pay Julio Rodriguez this fucking early and for that goddamn much?
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Exactly. I was so shocked when I saw that deal that I was like, you guys literally are naming this kid the face of your franchise right now after one season.
Not even a full season.
It was like what?
Halfway through. It was like halfway through. It was after the All-Star game. It was like,
yeah. We hadn't even like finished. Hadn't even made the playoffs.
Yeah,
we were still like battling for that playoff spot.
Yeah,
and holy smokes! I mean, that was way too soon. And especially when I saw, and you guys see how much it is, and then when he was already starting to have like back problems, and I'm like,
it's one of those things, and this is for all sports, is that because there's even the talk of Geno Smith getting $3,150,000 fucking contract.
Oh yeah,
the fuck are you paying him that much for? For a 6-2 record to then shit a brick the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Geno's a good quarterback, but very inconsistent, very, very strong. And with the same thing with Julio. If this was 2 years, 3 years in a row where he had a season like this, where Rookie of the Year, considered for American League MVP, Mariners have been in the playoff contentions, 3-time All-Star, I can see why you pay him that.
I would say you paid him the deal in the next, either after this year or the following year.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That deal.
That's what I said.
I feel like the deal was too soon. The deal right now was too soon. I mean, God, you guys better hope this guy pans out.
Here's the deal. You're never going to have a Patrick Mahomes kind of situation, because again, the Chiefs paid him way too fucking early. But he's kind of panned out. Got a second Super Bowl. Two-time MVP. But still, there was that question mark. Oh, well, you paid that guy a lot of money on a 1-1 Super Bowl record.
Anyway, guys, looking forward to Mariners season as always. As we've talked about, we probably will be doing some follow-up on Mariners, but we will not be doing like every game. We'll probably just do like semi-monthly. We
have talked about either every 2 weeks or we'll do a month review.
That's what I'm saying, like semi-monthly to either month review on how they do. Because trying to talk about 162 games a year is not going to work with, especially with our schedules.
And we both have our issues. He still is for it. I think cut the goddamn games a little bit. Cut them down. Cut them to 100.
I'm old-fashioned.
I know you old-fashioned, but there's just a lot of fucking games.
Well, there's that. And then, like I said, we're now going to have to experience, the whole pinch count thing right now. See how that's going to be implemented. I'm still against that whole thing. The base is being bigger. I'm only fine with it if it's first base.
Only base it should be.
It's the only base it should be. That way, when a runner, when he hits the ball, is trying to beat out a ground ball. That's the only thing I can see for that one. Otherwise, the other bases just say normal, but we'll see what happens. We have to see what's going to happen right now. Like I said, these guys are actually getting their first try of it here in spring training, while some of these guys have actually in the minor leagues have already seen it last year, get a taste for it. So
also, lay off the umps, please.
They're human.
They're fucking human.
They're human.
I'm tired of listening to people bitch about the umps, like, oh, that's a shitty call. The Mariners got screwed over because they couldn't get a damn strike zone.
We finally got instant replay in there, for these guys to challenge. Okay, you can be happy with that, but leave the balls and strikes at least.
Or guess what? Guess what? You don't like it? Go fucking do it. And then
thank you.
And then go see how hard it is to sit there and watch it, praying that the ball doesn't hit you.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because that's what I fucking say to people.
I say that about NFL referees.
You don't like it the way it is going.
I
go
say
do it
about
yourself.
MLB. Listen, I got no love for NBA. Okay, you don't call fucking travel anyway, so who the fuck cares? Why are you even on the court? All right, and basketball referees need to change. Okay.
All right, guys, let's go and wrap this up. We'll end this on a better note. Sorry, it does frustrate me too. No, trust me, I get that all the time, and especially when I see it on like Facebook and stuff like that. It pisses me off, and I just want to say that to them so bad.
I'll say this last thing. Fans, you are what's ruining sports. I'm just throwing that out there. Fans are ruining sports because you always bitch and you complain. Fuck off. Learn to deal with it. Your team ain't going to win every goddamn game. Shut the hell up. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying.
All we're saying. All right,
guys.
So to reveal what we talked about earlier today, earlier in this episode, we talked about whose jersey we have on.
Yep. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that.
This should come to no surprise that if you know Kelly and you know myself, you know Kelly's jersey is a Ken Griffey Jr. number 24 jersey. There ain't no question about it. One of the top 3 Mariners of all time. And if you know me, and if you actually recognize this jersey, this is not only an old school Mariners jersey, but this is also a Hall of Fame jersey. And there were only 2 Mariners to be in the Hall of Fame as of right now, so it's a 50-50 shot. But if you know me, you know it's Edgar Martinez, my all-time favorite Mariner. So let us know if you guys got that right. It's pretty easy. Literally, you could have picked one of 4 players that we would have had. You know, Randy, Ichiro.
Like I said, if you know us, then you know.
If you don't know, Edgar Jr. is his favorite player. Edgar Martinez is mine. I love Ichiro. Would love to get a jersey. And also,
I have this jersey.
It's also damn hard to find a Randy Johnson jersey. The only Randy Johnson jersey I can ever find is a Diamondback one, which will probably happen that I get it.
Well, like I said, they have the custom make ones now at the stadium, so you can go get one made there.
Yeah. Plus it would be an Arizona Diamondback.
Oh, you want the actual? You don't want the actual Mariners.
I would
love a Mariners one, but you want the.
I love for it to be a Mariners jersey, but for me, I'd rather have it because it was his Hall of Fame jersey. And again, I know there was a lot of piff about that, about Randy going to the Hall of Fame as a Diamondback, not as a Mariner. Fun fact for all y'all: his best part of his career was in the Diamondbacks.
Won the World Series as a Diamondback.
World Series MVP, 4-time Cy Young winner out of 5 Cy Youngs. I'm sorry. He was the face of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Anyways, winner of the Seattle Mariners Best Pitchers bracket is himself, Big Unit, Randy Johnson. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, punch that notification bell, and let us know what you guys think. We have a couple more brackets on the way. We'll be honest, we don't know about Mario Monday this week because Kelly and I will actually be gone on Sunday. We're going to be at a comedy show for the one, the only, Mr. Fluffy himself, Gabriel Iglesias.
Mr. Iglesias.
You will potentially see clips and shorts of that show. If you're allowed to. I know there are some places that are very particular. Fair warning, if you ever go to a WWE event, I've told Kelly, I'll say it again, they are very anal about recording videos for WWE events. Just saying. Hold your phone at your chest. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, tune in for more videos and see what you guys think. Let us know what you guys have an idea for brackets if you want to shoot my idea. We'll get those going, as well as we have some more stuff coming your way. Some more trailer reviews. We still have a bunch to do. Movie reviews and everything like that. So tune in.
All right,
and as always, Kelly will send us out with the
Akame and Ahame. Send them home to mommy. Thank you guys all very much. We'll see you in the next one.